Hello, once again. This is your brother teacher, and welcome to my YouTube Live. I'll be here. So, in this particular segment or live video, I'll be talking about health and wellness and diet, exercise, and disease. So, welcome again, welcome aboard. So, as you start to enter this particular live video, be open, be free, be courteous, be kind, and I know that this uh, is going to be open to a lot of people to come in and visit. Please make sure that you ask me questions and have consideration. So if you're curious about something concerning your health and your wellness or your well-being, I should say, um, I'm not a licensed uh, doctor per se, but I do study the world in which I live. I've been studying health and wellness and martial arts since the age of 10, uh, almost all of my life for the most part. So um, I think I know pretty much. So here we go. Let's shoot. Now, who we got here already? Mr. Fuller. What's the best way to get lean and mean? Watch out. Best way to get lean and mean. What are we talking about when we say lean and mean, Mr. Fuller? Uh, Diet is always going to be number one, depending on where you are on planet Earth um, and your culture. You have to be careful what you put in your body. You want to make sure that you have a balanced diet for the most part, and you want to make sure that you incorporate exercise in what you do. It's not just simply about eating. It's about eating. It's about your diet, and it's about exercise. It's about rest. It's about a whole lot of things. It's a plethora of things. So let's start here, Mr. Fuller, Jr., if you will. What are you doing right now, and how much do you weigh? Are you overweight right now? Let's start there. You can shoot. Go ahead and ask me. Me personally, I have never weighed more than 200 pounds in my entire life. Now, when I was in the military, my military weight going in out of high school was approximately 155, 56 pounds. And I weighed that right about now. Mr. Fuller, watch out. Are you referring to me looking in great health? Please respond. Wow. 190 pounds. 5'11", just a couple inches taller than I am, sir. Hmm. Okay. That's attainable. Yes. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that very much. It's been a while since I've talked to you. I just had a stroke. I actually had a couple strokes about 3 or 4 months ago. And I was talking to someone not too long ago. Had it not been for the fact that I had been in martial arts the vast majority of my life, never drank, never smoked, never did drugs, I probably would have been in a worse predicament, if you will, when I had the stroke, because I can still talk, I can still articulate, I still have the arthritis in my hips and so forth, and I'm a little bit limited as far as the exercise is concerned, but I still do continue to train, and I still teach a few days a week, Mr. Fuller. I'm still doing that, and I'm 63, and I'm still pushing for the most part. And I try to watch my diet as well, and I maintain about 155, a little less somewhere. I teeter around there, about 155 pounds. And as I said earlier, I've never been over 200 pounds in my entire life. And I don't think in all of these years since I've been around that I will ever get to 200 pounds at this late stage of the game, if you will, for the most part. What's your diet like? Are you eating pretty much a healthy diet right now? I would imagine that you are. Me, I personally eat one meal per day, and I've been doing that going on 3 years now. About one meal a day, about that. And I typically don't eat at breakfast every day. Uh, I will make myself a green drink. All right, sir. I make a green drink as often as I can. And in the morning, I will have a green drink when I have the time to make the green drink before I come to work. And my green drinks typically would consist of, I can vary it a little bit, but my green drinks would typically consist of spirulina, chlorella, garlic, ginger, ashwagandha, and some cayenne pepper and celery. And I may put some kale in it as well, for the most part. Every once in a while, I put beet powder in my green drinks as well. Fruits and vegetables, that's excellent. Oh, chocolates. Wow, I love chocolate. I don't eat chocolate that often, but when I do get chocolate, I love chocolate. Mm. Bless you, sir. I appreciate that very much, more than you know. Yeah, this is my first live. I think it's the first successful live that I've done on YouTube. I attempted to do this probably 3 years ago, but I wasn't really that interested at the time to do it. I did a couple on TikTok not too long ago, but I finally decided to go ahead and break the ice and go ahead and do the live here on YouTube. So, and give it a go. Uh, had a lot of personal things going on in my life with family members being ill and so forth, outside of me having my stroke, my medical issues, as it were, for the most part. But I said, I'm going to get back on the stick, if you will, and get things going again. My constituents, if you will, miss me on YouTube, and they have told me that in so many words. And so I love teaching, and teaching is just a passion that I've always had. Uh, Outside of YouTube, and even on this particular platform and a couple other platforms as well, because I'm doing a few things on TikTok and on Rumble.com as well, etc. But I'm hoping and praying that I build this up, this live, if you will, here on this particular platform. I know speaking the truth is not the most popular thing here these days. I don't know if I want to call it the because of the woke movement, if you will, and the censorship thing that's been going on. Because I've been, I guess you can say, censored, if you will, for saying things that were truthful on this particular platform, and I think it's very, very disingenuous and unfair uh, when you try to help people, and because you have the ability to reach hundreds of thousands and even millions of people on some stages, if you will, uh, that you're stopped or hindered from doing that because of political reasons, if you will. It's just sad, to say the least. And I've had that done to me on this particular platform, and even to some degree on another platform as well. But I keep pushing. I love sharing information, especially when that information benefits people. And I'd like to reach more and more people, if if it were possible. So that's what my intent is right now. How often do you train, Mr. Fuller? You know, as I'm looking at your name, you're reminding me. Did you have an association with Francis Cress Wilson at some point, Mr. Fuller? Because it seems to me in my mind over the past several years that that there was a kinship, if you will, between you and her. She was someone that I had a great deal of respect for. As a matter of fact, I have her book, The ISIS Papers. Wow. We're going to keep pushing, and I'm hoping other people will tune in to this live. Oh, you do know who that is, though. Watch out. I'm glad that you do know who that is. Watch out. So am I. I always tell people that wherever the truth is, wherever you find the truth, that's where you'll find me. I don't care where you are on the planet. You know, people argue about religion and they argue about uh, the truth, as we call it, and I don't understand why people have to come to blows about who's right and who's wrong about the truth. But wherever the truth is, irrespective of where it comes from, that's where you find me. I don't care who the messenger is. If it's the truth, it's the truth. That's it. And that's all as far as I'm concerned. How often do you train or exercise, if you will, Mr. Fuller? And where are you located as well? As a matter of fact, speaking of training, when I leave here tonight, when I leave work, I'm going to focus on some training for myself tonight. Something uh, that I'm in need of because I've missed a day. I put it like that. Oh, watch out, Australia. Now, you know what? There's a young lady that, and I say young, she's a little older. She's past middle age. Are you familiar with Barbara O'Neill? Uh, she's into health and wellness also, and she has a retreat, and she's pretty big on YouTube. I follow her. She's from Australia. I think I would be correct in calling her Dr. O'Neill, Barbara O'Neill. Yeah, Barbara O'Neill. Now that body weight exercise, that sounds like isometrics to me. Do you know I have never, ever in my entire life of martial arts and physical fitness used weights, uh, dumbbells, if you will, free weights, heavy weights. I've never lifted weights. We've had those available to us, but that's just not something that I wanted to use because I never wanted to bulk up and lose the ability to be agile. So I've always been flexible for the most part, notwithstanding the fact that I had the hip injury, if you will, coming up about 15, 20 years ago. When I started having those issues with my hips, I basically stopped stretching and doing the splits. I used to be able to do the splits, the American splits and what we call the Chinese splits. I just stopped doing it because I never had arthritis before until then. And I didn't know what I was dealing with. And you don't know what you don't know sometimes. So, well, you live and you learn, as they say. But I'm okay. But I've never used weights. So people say that I was naturally built, I guess you can say. And it seems like my two sons seem to have taken uh, after my body physique for the most part. Not to say that I'm some sort of Atlas or Hercules. I'm not at all, but I've never been an obese person ever. But what I typically do is resistance exercises, body resistance exercises. I use what we call an eskrima sticks, if you will, or poles. I push and pull resistance exercises, if you will. Uh, Doorway exercises. I do push-ups, of course, the traditional push-ups, uh, hands, wrist, knuckles. I do sit-ups and crunches, and what we call tricep dips. I call them. We do those on chairs as well. And when I'm able to, I'll do pull-ups when I have a bar available. Now, because of my hip, I can't run anymore, but I do have my own treadmill within my home, so I use the treadmill there. Yes, I agree. Yeah, I've heard of a lot of injuries uh, of weightlifters, if you will, and I've made it pretty well without lifting weights throughout my life. And I've seen guys as what we used to use the term years ago, muscle bound, if you will. Now there have been some exceptions to the rules. People who have been pretty stocky, if you will, uh, and who have been able to function pretty well as far as agility is concerned. Michael Jai White, as far as martial arts is concerned, he's an actor and martial artist. He's pretty agile for a guy who's in his early 50s, I believe, and flexible, pretty agile, and to be top heavy, if you will. But that wouldn't fit me. It makes me look back and reminds me of the late great Bruce Lee, even though he was Asian or Chinese, uh, and his musculature. I just see no reason why a person needs all of that weight for that particular endeavor, martial arts. I put it like that. And then on the flip side of that, Steven Seagal, Aikido master, he started out in his early part of his career thin. Uh, it became very popular, and then here in his later years, he's obese. Still love him. I love him to death. Have a great deal of respect for him. But I don't see him being that healthy, being that heavy. Am I naturally slim and shredded? You know what? It's interesting that you asked me that question. Am I naturally slim and shredded? I don't know about the shredded part. Uh, if I were to take my shirt off and look in the mirror, I see my abs. I could do better, but again, I'm in America and I'm 63, and I have a hip problem, and I'm not pacifying myself, and I'm not making an excuse. I, but me, this is me personally. I could do better because a couple years ago, my abs were more prominent to me, and they're less prominent to me now because of my hip. Now, I was told by my doctor some years ago that I should have a hip replacement, but I just simply don't want anyone cutting on me. So I'd rather try to stick to a more natural method by continuing to remain moving, to keep moving, keep stretching, keep exercising, and keep eating a, a diet full of nutrition, if you will, and keeping my mind clear, doing those things that are positive, doing those things that are spiritually sound, and that's it. In other words, I came into this world with this body complete. If I don't have to have it cut on or altered, then I don't want to, unless it's absolutely positively necessary. That's it. Just the way I see it. I agree with you on that last statement. I think most women do like men that are cut, if you will. And to answer your question earlier, what you were asking me about you doing the burpees and the 300 push-ups, uh, I don't know about doing the 300 push-ups straight. I don't know how you do them. You can answer that if you like. Uh, if you could do 300 push-ups straight, you are a monster. You're a beast. My hat goes off to you. Uh, I would venture to say if you did them in sets, you'd be doing good, and you still accomplish 300 push-ups. But if you can do 100 push-ups, you have hit the mark because not many men can do 40 or 50 push-ups, and I know this from experience. Okay. Well, thank you for setting the record straight about the 300. Now, me, I tell my students all of the time, and I look at them, and I'm the oldest student in class currently, but my oldest student is 76. But I'm the oldest in my school right now. My really oldest student passed away about 7 years ago. He was in his 80s. But anyway, me being 63, all of my students under me are amazed when they see me do 75 push-ups. So I at least do my age. That's my personal thing with myself. That's my personal goal. I try to at least maintain my age, at least do 65. I'm 63. I at least try to do 65. So I linger around 65 to 70, 75 push ups all of the time to maintain that. That's what I do. And that's straight. How many can you do straight? I'm curious. Helmet, you cut back on starch and sweets. That's excellent. Let me tell you something, brother. Sweets, uh, that's as bad as cocaine. You know, uh, sugar is very, very addictive, and the industry knows this. And I'm telling you, they they know us well. They've experimented with sugar for decades, and that's why it's in virtually everything that you find in the supermarkets and the restaurants because they know what we love. They know what our taste buds love, and they're not going to stop doing it. It's bad for your teeth, as you can tell with my dentition over the years. You don't know what you don't know sometimes until you get older, right? But anyway, um, I'm glad you cut back on sugar. Sugar is very inflammatory in the human body, and so if you want to stave off diabetes, and I have friends that have uh, lost toes, they have lost feet, and they have lost half a leg. And I have a friend that passed away from diabetes, and he went blind, and then he passed away from diabetes. That was because of his lifestyle choices, and that was because of sugar, a diet. You know, if you can eat a natural diet. There's a book by Jethro Kloss called Back to Eden. I have that book in my library, so I advise you to go out and get that. That's one of those lost arts reading again. And by the way, sir, thank you for joining my live. I appreciate it. I'm proud of you if you cut back on the sugar, on the sweets. See, the thing is, we start talking about moderation, do things in moderation. The sad part of it is that a lot of us don't know what moderation is. We think moderation is our version of moderation. What do we need to survive, and what is food really? Everything that we call food is not food. Food is supposed to be nutrition. We need to look at the definition of what nutrition is. Oh, wow. 1 second, brothers. 32 push-ups. Neely, do you mind me calling you Mr. Fuller, or do you want me to call you Neely? Because I'm from the military, so I'm used to saying sir and using surnames and the such. Or like, the best way to diet and exercise. Okay, okay. What's the best diet or exercise to lower one's body fat whilst maintaining some muscle? How old are you now, Mr. Fuller? Okay, Neely, 23. Okay, that's wonderful. You're a young man. I have grandchildren your age. So listen to this, Neely. Uh, what you heard about red meat, let me first qualify what I'm going to say to you by saying this. Um, the answers that I'm going to give you, or anyone listening to me here, is going to be based on my life. experience. It's going to be based on my study and my research, and of course, what I have been teaching from that research as well. Originally, man did not eat meat. If you go to the book of Genesis in the Bible, King James Version, if you will, Genesis 1 and 29, first chapter, verse 29, man originally was a vegetarian. Later on, meat came, animal meat or animal flesh. That came later. Now, after evolution, animal flesh became customary or traditional throughout the evolution of man. So let's push that out the way for now. But originally, man was a vegetarian, and man is built to be a vegetarian. So even though man loves meat now, and that's basically what man eats throughout the world, meat, and virtually everything that they want to eat now. So, with that being said, we have to understand that's not the way it was in the beginning. So, man's body was intended to be made to be a vegetarian. Now, carnivores don't chew food, vegetarians chew food. If you look at the animals in nature that are vegetarians, if you look at a giraffe, if you look at a gorilla, if you look at deer, if you look at a cow, if you look at zebra, horses, their jaws rotate. They chew. They're crushing the food in their mouth. Carnivores, animals that eat other animals that are predators, if you will, they bite off the flesh of another animal and they swallow it because their digestive system was intended to be that way. So they have the body to facilitate them breaking down that flesh. Man's body was never intended for that. We are the only animal that has to cook something. It should make sense if you look at it from that standpoint. We have to cook food. Why do we have to cook food? Because we're not animals out there hunting food down like animals hunt other animals for food. So now, so that means it's going to bring some complications within our own physiology, if you will. So now, red meat, to answer your question, it does cause some health problems, especially after we've adopted to eating meat over a period of time. If you do it in excess, if you do it in excess, it's going to cause some health issues down the road because it's hard for our body's digestive system to break down animal flesh. It causes inflammation in the body. So we need fiber. So we have to have our vegetation. We have to have the vegetables and the fruits, the nuts and the grains to pass through our system. We need that. And that's really your answer. But culturally, that's not what we do. We just don't do that in America, especially. I'm speaking in respect of America. We just don't do that. We have the typical, what we call the typical American diet, which is really a junk food diet. We eat virtually anything that we want to eat, and we call it food, and it's not. We eat ultra processed foods in our country. And that's not me mentioning any other countries and what they do. That's only talking about America. We have a lot of things that's processed in laboratories. Preservatives, chemicals, dyes, colors, emulsifiers, and so forth. Those things don't belong in our bodies. But that's the food industry that we have to deal with. And they wreak havoc on our bodies over a period of time. And it makes us susceptible to disease and cancer down the road. Yeah, there's no reason we should be eating raw meat ever. Period. And you're welcome, by the way. Animals in nature that were intended to eat other animals eat raw meat. Why in the world would a human being eat raw meat? I don't know of a human being that hunts down an animal that can even catch a wild animal, has the faculties to catch another animal with their bare hands, like a tiger can hunt down an animal, or a lion can take down a zebra or a gazelle and tear it apart and eat it. We need tools to do that. First, we have to create the tools to do it. So it only stands to reason that it was never intended for us to do in the first place, because it's not a natural thing to do. But we really can forage the forest and the woods for vegetables, for plants. They are readily there. They are always there. We can plant and grow our own food. We can do that. That's really simple. That's a no-brainer. Now, I limit the amount of meat that I eat, uh, and I try to eat uh, 80, 20, 90, 10%, that is, of vegetables versus animal products. I don't drink milk, uh, cow's milk, that is, dairy. I drink almond milk and I drink coconut milk in place of that if I drink milk. You said the European cavemen consumed meat in abundance. Well, my response to that would probably be more of an adaptation to it. If they've done it for a period of time, I don't know how far back that goes, but if through the term that I used earlier, evolution, once you've done something for a period of time, you will adapt to it. Doesn't necessarily mean that's necessarily the right thing to do. It depends where you are on planet Earth too, what region you are in, where you are on the planet. Different cultures can tolerate different things too, because man at one time was in one place on the earth, and then man dispersed throughout the earth, and then he adapted to wherever he was. It doesn't mean that man was a meat eater, or he man was intended to eat animal flesh. Man had to eat what was available at that time wherever he was, or he learned to adapt to wherever he was and whatever food source was available there. For example, uh, people who live in Asia, they have a specific diet. People who live in Central America have a specific diet. People who live in the north or the south or the east or the west, they have specific diets to wherever they are geographically. So that's what they've eaten for hundreds of years wherever they are. So that's what they are accustomed to. That's just really the truth about it. And I would agree with what you said about the Europeans. Everything doesn't work for everyone, but evolution has a whole lot to do with it as well, as I said. But again, back on the raw meat consumption, no, that's definitely a no. And honestly, Nearly, I don't think we will live long enough to know all the truth about anything in life. We just simply won't. No man can live, as I'm speaking to you now, none of us can ever live long enough to know everything about any particular subject. We're all still students to life, of life. And I say that all the time about myself. As much as I seem to know about certain things in life, I'm still a student. Period. I'm a grandmaster in the martial arts, but I'm still a student. And I study all of the time. Uh, I don't try to claim anything. I'm just still a student, period. You can ask me about certain subject matter, and I might have a answer about those particular topics and or subject matters, but I don't consider myself an expert, an absolute expert about anything. And no man should ever say that by himself, period. Nobody knows that. As a matter of fact, people that are in medicine, doctors, they are studying medicine still because nobody knows the absolute answer to anything, period. We're all students to life. And I think if we had the answer to everything, none of us would be here. We'd be somewhere else on a higher plane. I think I'm going to decide when I do these live streams on the day and the hour that I start the live streams throughout the week. I'm not going to do every night, I don't believe. I might do a couple nights a week and try to stick with that particular schedule. But this would be my kickoff. And I know it's going to build up because I'm going to tell my associates and my students about it as well to build up my following here. I have a pretty nice following on YouTube per se. I'm very happy that you joined me here, though. There was a couple other guys that came in. I don't know if they're just listening, but you could do 30 plus push-ups. That's good. When I was in the army, when I first went to boot camp, we had a guy, and I never will forget. I don't recall his name, but he was sort of on the thin side. This guy could not do 10 push-ups, and we were at the time around 18, 19 years old. I could not believe this. Uh, I mean, it just blew my mind. Now, me at the time, I was probably at about 50, 60 push-ups, and this guy couldn't do 10. And he was a spoiled rich kid that his parents were trying to get rid of, to get him into something positive, to get him out the house. I think because he was spoiled. What have they wanted him to be a man or what have you, they put him in the army. And so he had nothing but issues trying to cope with being there. And I don't recall if he even graduated a boot camp, but he wasn't the only one, but he's just one that stood out in my mind. Couldn't do 10 push-ups, and I just couldn't fathom someone not being able to do 10 push-ups. That's just upper body strength. And as I say, he was not the only person who was challenged with that. There was people who were challenged with running or doing pull-ups. Uh, I mean, just the underarm type pull-ups and so forth. I just didn't get it at the time. Even today, there are guys that's older. I would imagine that if you are at least 30, 40 years old, you should at least be able to do 30 push-ups. That's how I see it. I think when you join the police department, the fire department, that, that we used to have a requirement when you join the military. That should be around what you should be able to do, 25 to 35 push-ups, somewhere around there. And to not be able to do that, something's wrong. And what's really interesting is that I remember he can't do more than 5 push-ups. Wow. Are you serious? Mm, that is so interesting. But you know what? I'm not surprised because I've been teaching martial arts for over 35 years. And I've had students in my class this past year that can't do 5 push-ups. Uh, I mean, their belly hits the floor and they sag in the back, the whole 9 yards. And it's like these are grown people. And I even have teenagers who have a little weight on them. I'm not talking about obese weight. I'm just, they're a little thick, chunky, or what have you. They just don't have the upper body strength. And I had to kind of like look at them off to the side and just wonder what happened. What's going on with them that they can't do that. So, but it's a matter of lack of will sometimes, lack of willpower or desire, uh, lack of self-esteem. They don't see themselves as an independent, someone who cares about themselves in that respect. You know, I need to be a certain type of image. So I want to take care of my body. That's pretty much it. And they oftentimes don't have a parent that puts them in some sort of sport that will allow them to actually get into some sort of physical conditioning and maintain that throughout their lives. But it is what it is. So my children, for the most part, my boys, and I think it should really be enforced with your male children. But my boys have always been pretty athletic. They played basketball and so forth, and they could do push-ups. So I'm proud of them in that regard. But the girls, I don't know. I kind of give them a pass, if you will. I have 6 children, 3 boys, 3 girls. Give the girls a pass on that one. But the boys, no, they're okay. I started early when like I said earlier, when I started martial arts, I was about 10 years old. I started out, Bruce Lee inspired me. The best exercises to get that V shape. So how much do you weigh right now? You say you're 23. How much do you weigh? Are you weighing at the age of 23? 190. You did say that earlier. And you 5'11". Oh, you about 6 foot tall, V shape. I'll tell you this. I know what you meant when you said 190, 190 pounds. Uh, the V shape, well, every there every person has a different body type, and sometimes we strive for certain body shapes, if you will, and it may not be realized in everyone the same. You say V shape and that narrow waist, if you will, but I'll probably have to see a picture of you. But anyway, your diet is going to be integral. It's going to be very important. Stay away from the sugar. It doesn't mean that you can't have some sugar, but you have to do it in moderation if you're not quite certain what moderation is. Moderation just simply means that you don't want to do the high fructose corn syrup. Stay away from that. Stay away from your soda pops. Stay away from your lattes and your milkshakes and these types of things and your donate excuse me your donuts and your cookies and this kind of stuff. I'm not saying that you can't have this stuff from time to time, but you have to kind of push away from the table when it comes to those types of sugars for the most part, and start eating more vegetables. And your natural sugars are going to be the sugars in your vegetables, not your vegetables, but in your fruits. Your watermelons, peaches, apples, plums, pomegranates, and so forth. But also understand this as far as sugar is concerned too. In the wintertime, when you're eating fruit in the wintertime, make sure that you stay active because fruit is really intended for hot weather. That way you can burn the sugar off when it's hot outside. Because in the wintertime, you're going to store the sugar as fat if you're not active. Remember that I said that. Okay, so the other stuff thing is make sure that you stay actively uh, aggressive as far as your cardiovascular exercises is concerned. So you want to be doing something cardiovascular, jumping jacks, jogging. I don't know if you have access to a treadmill. If you can't get out and run outside, I don't know where you are. Where you are in Australia, you told me, but you want to be able to break a sweat. You want to go to a sauna, if you will, sometimes, or a steam room and sweat out some of the toxins in your body. If you have that available to you as well, you want to stay hydrated. Hydration is not just water. Hydration is the minerals that you're losing once you perspire and you urinate. When you lose water, you lose electrolytes, which is your minerals as well. So you have to put those back in there. Just bottled water or water from your tap is not good enough because you're not putting the minerals back. You're just putting plain water back in your body. So you want to make sure that you have a piece of fruit, apple, pears, and so forth, and a banana, potassium, if you will, when you hydrate or rehydrate back into your body. And so make sure that you get plenty of sleep, uh, 6 to 8 hours of sleep at your age. That's what you need to do. Don't stay up late at night. Avoid energy drinks if you can. Energy drinks are not healthy for you at all. If anything, they raise your heart rate. They're just not good for you at all. Now, you want to do core exercises. Now, if you do sit ups, you have to remember that when you do sit ups, you keep your legs stationary. And as you're going forward, you don't jerk your head forward when you're doing your sit ups. You pull from your abdomen, from your abdominal region, if you will. And when you do sit ups, you are toning the upper abs, not the lower abs. A lot of people don't know that. You're toning the upper abs. Now, if you want to tone or develop the lower abs, you raise the legs to you. So you can use something stationary and you can hold your hands against something stationary. Even a person standing behind you, you hold their legs, let them be your anchor, and you pull your legs up towards you as if you're curling your legs, your knees towards yourself. And that way you are activating the lower abs like you're doing a flag. and you lower them back down and you bring your knees back up. That's the lower abs being activated or engaged. So that's that. Or you can do what we call crunches, and then you can also do what we call. Now I just saw this earlier. When you rest on your forearms, I don't know why I can't think of this right now, and I've been saying this forever. um, Planks. That's what I'm talking about. A plank. If you know what a plank is, if you don't know what a plank is, look it up. It's actually in my thumbnail. The guy's doing a plank. You'll see the guy doing a plank where you're resting on your forearms. You hold it for up to 2 or 3 minutes. Do that a few times. That will help your abs as well. And there are exercises that you can also do with your with a staff. I'll show you that exercise. Give me a minute, and I'll say give me about a week, and I'll have some videos on my YouTube channel, on my regular YouTube channel, and I'll make you privy to that. Those other exercises for the upper body as well. So just bear with me. We're just getting started here. Yeah, those are planks. I did say planks, didn't I? Before I even saw you say that. Okay. I'm sorry. What exercises do you typically do? And how often do you train, Neely? You have pretty much dominated uh, my live tonight, and I'm proud of you, sir. I really am. I really enjoy talking to you or dedicating this space with you, I should say. Push ups, familiar with, pull ups, dips, squats. Squats are good for your thighs, your legs. 2 months ago, okay. So, what motivated you to to train? Was it because of your weight, or you just wanted to be more healthy? And it's good that you started training, by the way. Thank you. You want to be in better health and look good in the mirror. Oh, wow. Take that as a compliment, sir. I'll do my level best, as one of my friends used to say all the time, to assist you as much as I possibly can. And I appreciate you uh, extending that comment to me. Your parents did a great job in raising you, by the way. I appreciate your candor and your kindness. I really do. You don't see that very often anymore. So one thing I was going to say to you is this: make sure that you document what you do. Get yourself a folder, pretty much a notebook so you can journal. This is what I do. I have a composition book or a notebook with paper in it, of course. I write the date down. For example, today is January 16th, 2025. I write the date down, and I'll write down after I've done the exercise, of course. I'll put push-ups equal 65. That's me documenting what I did at that particular time. And I'll put jumping jacks 50, and I'll make any other little notations that I have to make. If there be any. And the next date, I draw a line. If I still have space on the paper, I'll put January 17th, which is tomorrow. I'll put push-ups 100, whatever I do. This is hypothetical, of course. And then I put sit-ups 60, and then on and on and on. And if I have a green drink, anything that I do health related, I put it in that journal, and then I maintain that journal. So it gives me something physically to look at and something to motivate me. So when I go back to that book, and I put it in a very conspicuous place, so every time I go to that book, it lets me know that I have done something the days before, and I say, "Wow, I did this and I did that, and so I must improve on this now." Or I didn't do as many of these particular exercises on that day, so I need to increase that by 10. So if I've done 50 push-ups per se on one day, I'll add 10 the next week. So I might do 50. I'm saying this for anyone, as a matter of fact. So if I've done 50 push-ups for a whole week, and I feel a little stronger, it might even be 2 weeks, I might feel a little stronger. So I'll add five more push-ups. Now I have built up to 55, and so on and so forth. You get my point. So that's what you should do. And that's how you keep track of your progress as a person that's vying for great health. And that's what you want to always do. And after you fill that book up, you put it on the shelf, and then you start another book the following year, 2026, 2027. And then you have a library of progress and achievement as it relates to your health and your well being. And you don't have to just do this as it relates to just your health and wellness is concerned physically. You can do it financially as well too. This is how much I made this particular month. This is how much I spent on, clothing. This is how much I spent on, the restaurants and so on and so forth. And said maybe I'm spending too much on lattes or on candy, or too much on snacks, or going to eat out at this particular restaurant and so on and so forth. Maybe I need to cut back. You follow what I'm saying? You get my point, I hope. That was it. I hope these pointers were very beneficial. Well, I'm glad you understood what I was saying, Neil. I can't believe I've been on here an hour already, and it's time for me to close my store. Wow, I didn't even pay attention to the clock, but it's time well spent. I really enjoyed it. What time is it there in your country as I'm speaking to you? Wow. Okay. Yes, I tell you, Barbara O'Neill, Barbara O'Neill, Oneil. You can look her up on YouTube, and I think you would find a great deal of wisdom and knowledge in this young lady when you get an opportunity. Next time you speak with me on the live, I'm sure you would give me some words of praise from her teachings. She's one of many people. I consider her a mentor of mine, as a matter of fact. A lot of people look at me as a mentor, but I have many mentors, living and dead, if you will. But I'm going to bid you a fond adieu, uh, Neely, and I'm going to be back. I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow. If not, it's probably going to be Saturday. Just look for me. Uh, of course, you know I'm brother teacher. My name is Reginald, uh, affectionately known as brother teacher. And I'm going to sign out here in about a minute here. And it has been a pleasure. It has been indeed a pleasure meeting you here on my live this evening on January the 16th, 2025. And I enjoyed this. I really did. My first live in many, many years. And I look forward to another one real soon. And until then, you be very blessed. You are in my prayers. And if you have any questions, make sure you jot them down for me. And it doesn't have to necessarily be pertaining to uh, physical health and well being. Thank you, sir. You as well, sir. You take care.